There is a very noticeable problem with far-right content on YouTube, which I believe has to be addressed. I did use the critical drinker in my video title because he is perhaps the biggest and most recognizable name among the alt-right YouTubers that mainly discuss popular culture. But honestly speaking, this video is not about him specifically, it's more about the whole culture of far-right anti-woke YouTube and why this culture represents actual danger to society. If you try to search for a review of any popular Hollywood movie or an American popular show, you will inevitably encounter one of these anti-woke channels that have hundreds of thousands of views on their videos and sometimes even more. These channels aren't just annoying as hell, but they are, as I mentioned already, also extremely dangerous. These channels and these creators raise an army of far-right, deeply misogynistic, queerphobic and racist young men that some people call incels. I don't know how appropriate the usage of this term is, so I will not use it here. Let's talk more broadly about far-right propaganda. Fox News is far-right propaganda that aims at older people who still watch TV. Fox News purposefully spreads mostly fake far-right, borderline fascist propaganda which, judging by the US election, seems to work as intended. And I did not exaggerate when I said that Fox News spreads mostly fake information. Fox News itself called themselves entertainment that should not be taken seriously in response to criticism. YouTube channels like The Critical Drinker serve exactly the same purpose as Fox News, but for younger audience who don't watch TV. I'm sure there is tons of far-right stuff on TikTok too, but I do not use TikTok. One time I tried to use it, I encountered a video by a guy who claimed that the sun will disappear for 3 days as punishment for our sins or something like that. So TikTok is bad. But let's focus on YouTube since I'm mostly on YouTube and mostly familiar with this particular platform. I watched some of the Critical Drinker's content and his position is, not surprisingly, openly fascist. He hates minorities, he hates people of color, queer people, of course he hates women, even though people like him don't usually admit that, but they do. They don't see women as human beings, they care for women only when women represent sexual interest to them. That's why they hate female characters in modern Western movies and shows, because modern female characters are actual characters with their own agenda and story and not some pretty faces to please heterosexual males. And that's why many of these far-right people like anime so much, because it satisfies their deeply misogynistic fantasies. For alt-right people, a perfect movie is one that features strong white men, and women can only be attractive and subordinate to men, of course. Everything else is woke propaganda. That's the world that these people are dreaming about. No racial or gender equality, something like conservative America of the 1950s, when women couldn't even work and make their own money. These people also push conspiracy theories similar to Deep State or QAnon. Theories like gay people control Hollywood and push their agenda to make everyone gay or something like that. Watching far-right YouTube videos genuinely feels like watching some Joseph Goebbels propaganda, but remade for Gen Z consumption. I am not even exaggerating. Same talking points, just replace Jews with feminists and it's practically indistinguishable. It's incredibly annoying that there is so much content like this, but annoyance is just the tip of the iceberg. These people gain lots of attention from young people, and that's where the problem begins. Since their videos are extremely shallow and they mostly talk about popular Hollywood movies, their audience is mostly teenage/young adult boys. These young boys are getting radicalized by consuming the endless stream of practically fascist propaganda. They grow up becoming hateful of people who aren't white, straight, or women who aren't subservient to them. Young men grow up believing that they're superior because of their penis and balls, so women must serve them, and when they realize women aren't their personal servants, they get mad and some even commit hate crimes. You ever wondered why alt-right YouTube is so much more active than liberal YouTube? Somewhere deep inside, most right-wing people do understand that their position is wrong and evil, so they seek validation from people they respect. They want to hear that their misogyny and homophobia are okay and that they're not bad people. This is where critical drinkers come. Critical drinkers tell these people that it's okay to be hateful. They are not bad people, the world is betting against them. It's the same when Fox News convinces its audience that Trump didn't lose the election. It's all rigged by evil Democrats, deep state, Jewish space lasers, or whatever. Critical drinkers sell a very addictive product. They sell validation of hate to people who consume it like drugs. Because hateful people desperately need validation. People who do good things know that they are right and aren't searching for confirmation of that. Alt-right YouTubers do it all for money. Some of these YouTubers, I'm sure, aren't even genuine, but they say whatever their alt-right audience demands to hear. Critical drinkers are merchants that poison people's minds the same way someone like Tucker Carlson does. There is very little difference in principle. Such people are usually extremely ignorant. For instance, during one of streams, the critical drinker claimed that people in the West turn to Korean, Japanese movies these days, and when asked about his favorite recent Japanese movie, he couldn't even name one. I don't usually watch Asian movies, but even I can name at least 5 Japanese films released in recent years. And the critical drinker doesn't know any. He could only name Old Boy, which is a Korean film. But Old Boy is a very well-known movie that even had an American remake, so that doesn't say anything about drinkers' knowledge. It's like claiming to be an expert of Japanese cinema by saying you know who Godzilla is. So these people who try to push certain right-wing narratives don't actually know what they're talking about. They keep reciting popular conservative opinions that most conservative people agree with, and whenever someone asks them detailed questions, they immediately fumble, because they don't actually know anything. Just like Tucker Carlson barely understands politics, economics, or history. I mean, Tucker claimed he got visited by a demon, so that's everything you should know about him. The guy believes he was attacked by demons at night in his own bedroom. Bar some very popular stuff, I don't know much about Asian cinema. And, as you know, I never talk about it and never pretend that I understand it. I only talk about things that I actually watch. And I'm not trying to sell my opinion to people. Everything I say is genuine. I genuinely support feminism and LGBTQ rights. I made this video because I thought that discussing critical drinker and far-right YouTube is kind of important, and I think there should be way more backlash against this kind of content. These YouTubers spread hatred and intolerance among people just because that's what they get paid for. As a result, they make this world a much less safe place for potentially vulnerable groups of people, like LGBTQ, ethnic minorities, or women. People like the critical drinker are a threat to society, and this should be acknowledged. I hope more and more people will pay attention. Thank you for watching this rant. If you want to support the channel, please subscribe and leave a comment. Comments always help channels like mine to get picked up by YouTube algorithms. So, see you again.